Okay, I think our microphone is working.
Okay. This is my great-grandmother, Dora Ellen Allen Smith.
Okay.
She was a full-blooded Indian.
Okay, Dora Ellen Allen Smith.
Yeah.
Do you know about when she was born?
No, I don't. She was adopted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She was adopted by some family members way back when she was a baby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And she married my great-granddad Smith. And this is a picture of them in later years.
Okay, this is Dora Ellen Allen Smith, and this is your granddad.
My great-granddad,
What's his name?
John Andrew Smith.
John Andrew Smith.
Yeah.
Okay.
And here's another picture of great-granddad Smith. Now,
Okay.
this is your great-great-great-granddad Smith.
Oh, okay. Great granddad
Yes.
Smith.
Because he's my great-granddad, so that'd be your mom's
Okay.
great-great-granddad.
That's so cool.
And your great-great-great-granddad. Yeah. So I was tickled to get those. I'm going to make some copies.
Oh, I would love to. Before I leave, I'm going to take some shots of them. And
Oh, okay.
And yeah, we don't have to do that yet. But before we leave, I'll take some shots of them. And I'm just going to reproduce them.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I thought so too. So,
Do you know what year these were?
see if Uncle John's got that on the back. I don't know.
I'm so glad he had these. I didn't know if there's... Okay. There's Dora Ellen Allen Smith. Born August 16th, 1876 in Hermitage, Wyoming, Colorado, NY. Died 21st of November, 1936.
Okay.
At Alcona Cemetery in Rooks County, Kansas.
Over west here,
Oh, okay.
in here in Hill City.
Okay, there's John Andrew Smith, born 25th October 1871, died 28 February 1940, married 21st March of 1896. That was a minute ago.
Yeah.
And then John Andrew Smith, there's his birth and death date. Pictured with his horse, Sparky.
Sparky.
Nice.
Sparky.
Yeah, everything was horse back then.
Yeah. I remember old Sparky. He was pretty darn old before he died. I was just a kid.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay, you ask me questions and I can try to give you answers if I
Okay,
can.
or just tell me some things you remember.
Oh, gosh. I never knew my great-grandparents there.
Okay, the ones from the pictures?
They died before I was born, yes.
But Sparky was alive.
Yes, Sparky was still alive because my granddad Smith, my mom's father, still had old Sparky. Yeah, so he was old. But we still ride him. And we played in the sandbanks across the river on my grandparents' place. Leela, you know Leela Montgomery.
Yes, great-grandmother Montgomery. I remember
She
going
was
to
my
her
grandmother
90th.
Smith.
Okay,
Okay, that was my mom's parents.
okay.
Benjamin Franklin Smith and Leila Mildred Waters Smith. So,
And
anyway,
she was the one that we referred to as Grandma Montgomery?
right, because my granddad died when I was about 13. He
Okay.
died from cancer. And grandmother didn't remarry until she was 70 years old. So she was fairly young when Granddad died. He was only 50, early 50s, just like your Grandpa Newell. He died in early 50s, great-grandpa Newell. So, and they lived across the river over here from us.
Because you grew up in this house, right?
Yeah, I was born and raised here. Yeah, Uncle Steve was born in Stockton, but the rest of us were born here in this house.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, you were born in the house.
Yes. Now, Uncle Charles was born across the river before they bought this place. Because they bought this place in, 1940. Charles was born in 42. So this house, Mom and Dad bought this house in 1940 when he was still a baby. After he was born, he was just a baby.
Oh, cool.
Because Uncle Charles was born in 40. Either that or no, 1939. They bought this place in 39, I think it was. Yeah. Because they'd been married several years before they had Charles. And, let's see. Charles was born in 42, I'm sorry. So maybe it was 1940 when they bought this place. And Charles was born in 42, but they lived across the river at the time before they bought the place. So I'm getting myself all confused here.
It's been a minute. There's some time passed since.
Well, but anyway, Uncle Steve was born at a nursing home in Stockton. They called it Harwood Nursing Home, where women went to have their babies. Instead of having them at home, the doctors were doing it at the Harwood home. But my sister and I were both born here, and Uncle John. Yeah, in this house. So, but anyway, great granddad and grandmother lived across the river, and they had land there and a house and everything and barn. And we used to play out in the pasture. It was like a sandbank. It's where the original old river used to be, where bed was.
So the river changed.
Yeah.
Was that
Oh, yeah.
was that after the lake was built, or?
No, that was before. That was years ago. Because it's like this road down here below the house. That's part of the original riverbed.
Oh, okay.
And so it's moved quite a bit to the north. Yeah. So probably floods over the years. Because there's been a number of floods over the years. And tornadoes. I remember before I was born, there was a house over east here, a farmstead actually. And they had barns and outbuildings and everything, and the tornado came through. And I think it took quite a bit of stuff out on that place. So, okay, now what all do you want me to talk about? That
Oh, I don't really have any questions. If there's anything memories or anything you want, like, documented, because, like, my kid will be able to watch this when he grows up, and his kids, because this video will last forever.
Oh, yeah, yeah. He's going to think I'm nuts because I'm getting confused here on some days.
I'm confused about things that happened to me
Oh,
a
dear.
week ago, dude.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. But anyway, as I was saying, this old house, that was an open porch out there.
I'll move that so you don't hit it.
This was an open porch. And then the two back bedrooms back there were open porch. And they filled that in to make two bedrooms. And then they didn't tear the upstairs down. Now, I've got a picture somewhere. I want to make some copies of it. Of the house. With the upstairs, the upper story on it.
When they took the upper story off?
Yeah, in the 1980s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, then, of course, the bathroom was added on. That was an add-on to the house. And they filled in the front porch, rebuilt the front porch there. Because it was just an open one.
So Grandma and Grandpa Hans, I didn't know them very well because I was a little kid. And
Yeah.
Older. I didn't know much about Grandpa Hans. Can you tell me about
Yeah.
him? He was always very quiet, I noticed.
He was a quiet person, and he was a very good person. And the only time you would hear him ever talk about anybody, he never talked about people he didn't like. But if he talked about people he liked and got along with.
Quality.
Yeah, he was just a quiet man and hard worker. He was a very hard worker. And when he was 5 years old, and Uncle Everett, my uncle, was 4. Granddad, the old man Hans, he was actually my blood grandfather, but I hated both of them. Him and my grandmother. They were mean, nasty people. And my dad just turned his back on them because he couldn't stand them either. I mean, his own parents. But anyway,
They'd probably seen hard times.
they did see hard times, but the old man Hans, my granddad Hans, old Charles Hans.
That was his
Charles.
parents.
That was his parents, Charles Lewis Hans and Opal and Henderson Hans. And he got married later in life, actually, because he raised sheep. So he had money. He was a wealthy man. And they never ever shared one dime with his family. Nothing. They always tried to cheat my dad. They're hateful people. So whenever I talk about him, it's the old man Hans or the old lady Hans, because I didn't like either one. Don't ask my brother about him. He hated them too. But anyway, yeah, they had money. And what was I going to say? Actually, that brought them up.
We're talking about Grandma and Grandpa Hans.
Yeah, Dad's parents. Yeah, my dad's grandparents came from Germany, and I never met them. They died before I was born, and that was John Hans, Jon. It's his name, Jon Hans, and his wife. And Dad just loved his grandparents. He said they were the nicest people, but she could barely speak English. She spoke German, and to aggravate my old lady Hans, my grandmother, she would speak in German.
Oh, they had feist way back then, didn't they?
Just like your grandma Newell would do in front of me. She'd speak French.
Uh-huh.
See? So I wouldn't know what she's saying. But anyway, but my great grandmother and your great grandmother on Mom's side, Grandmother Waters, she was from France. She was French, and I did not know for years that she could speak perfect French. I would love to learn to speak French, but my mother-in-law wouldn't teach me. She didn't want me to know what she was saying, I know.
Makes sense.
So, oh dear. But
How
Dad,
about,
was,
oh, go ahead.
it's okay, go ahead.
No, I'm in classic interrupted, whatever you were saying. I was listening to that.
Just think about Dad, how hard worker he was. He had a cousin living in Hanston, Kansas. The Hanston, somewhere down that area, that taught him how to weld and do all that stuff, build things. And so he taught Dad Dad would build his own cattle trailers. All those corral fences out there, they built to his own specifications and everything. So he learned to do a lot of that and weld and everything else. And he was very talented, but he was just so busy on the farm. So, but I'd like to have known his cousin a lot better, but because he built all kinds of musical instruments.
Really? Do
Yes.
you know what kind of musical instruments? And what was this person's name?
I don't. I have to ask him.
So it's your dad's cousin?
He's my dad's cousin. His last name was Horn, Horn.
Horn.
Yeah, Uncle John could tell you more because Uncle John remembers him and he knew him and visited with him. He even do his own. Probably made one of the very first mobile homes or trailer houses, and of course, by that time he got to put in the old soldiers' home in Dodge City, and he died there. But I would like to have known him better, but I didn't. Uncle John.
Do you know anything about his musical instruments he made?
I can't remember what John said he made. They'll be coming in after a bit. When they come in, I want to ask him what kind of musical instruments.
Okay.
I'm sure his last name was Horn, but I could be wrong about that. Because my great grandmother Hans had the last name Horn too, I think, her maiden name. So, but anyway, I just had to tell you that they made
That's an excellent thing to hear. I'm going to
Yeah.
ask him what kind of musical instruments he made.
kind of instruments they were. I know he mentioned it one time, but I can't remember Uncle John. So, but anyway, Dad got a lot of his training from that cousin on how to weld and do a lot of that stuff, to build his own equipment and everything. Keep seeing something shiny out there. Maybe it's a vehicle.
Yeah, I think the sun's starting to shine.
Might be Uncle John's vehicle, okay. And let's see what else did Dad do. Dad was the old man Hans, the old Charlie Hans, was a musician. And he could play the piano. He could play about any instrument he picked up.
And his name was
Charles Lewis Hans.
Charles Lewis. Was this your brother?
No,
Or
this is
who
my
your brother
granddad.
this is who your brother was named after.
My brother Charles was Charles Franklin Hans,
Okay.
named after Granddad Smith and Granddad Hans. But Dad's dad was Charles Lewis Hans,
Okay.
and he was a musician. He used to play in a band when he was a young man, and so he could play about any instrument he picked up. And then my dad, could play the guitar. And I'm not sure if he played the violin, but he played the guitar, and then Mom could play the piano. So, yeah. Get down, babe. Dad loved to play horseshoes. On every holiday, all the boys got together. His brothers and brother-in-laws and everything. And my great-uncle Doyle Henderson, he was quite the guy. He was a great big guy. The Hendersons all were big guys. And they were good horseshoe players. So they'd always set them up out here. I think Uncle John said he still got the old horseshoes and everything that those guys played with when we were kids. So they set the horseshoes up out here, the things, and start playing. So, was I interrupting something there?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay.
This is the most important thing happening here, for sure.
Horseshoes?
No, our conversation.
Oh, okay.
We don't have to worry about interrupting. Anybody else doing anything is interrupting us.
Okay. Let's see, what else did he like to do? He liked to hunt. He was a good hunter. He had good eyesight way back then, until he got cataracts and his eyes really went bad. But when he and my brothers were young, they always carried rifles in their pickups, and they went to check cattle and everything to shoot coyotes with. So, and they should have shot the neighbor next door. Saved everybody misery. He was actually Dad's half-brother. See, my dad had a half-brother and a half-sister, but they were both horrible people. Very horrible. I mean, to the point where my dad beat the crap out of his half-brother one time. He dragged him down the road to the mailbox and beat the shit out of him. That's what he did. I shouldn't put that on there.
Oh no, that's fine. No, this is the things. The conversations like this happen as they need to. It's organic.
So
beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, he did. He actually did. My dad had big hands and big fingers. He wore a size 16 ring.
Really? Yeah.
And he used to box. Dad used to box.
Oh, really?
When he was in school. Oh, yeah, he loved sports.
Did he go to school? Where did he go to school?
Webster. Mom.
Boxing seemed to be a thing back then. I know Papa Newell boxed in DeMar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Said your brother was a boxer.
Yeah, my dad liked to box, yeah. And when he got his hands on that half-brother of his, because he was a liar and a conniver and a thief. And I won't go into all that on this, but anyway. Let's see, what else did Dad like to do? He liked farming, of course. And
what did y'all farm? I know it's something that you had an orchard, but what else did you?
Well, we had crops. He had the fields for crops, usually alfalfa, and they had the pastures, And they raised registered Angus cattle for years.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And Dad's bulls. The people who come to buy his bulls, he could not believe it. He made a pet of every one of them.
Mm-hmm.
They would follow him around. They would fight each other. The bulls would bang heads to be scratched first. And people could not believe it. A man could get in the pen with all these bulls. And without getting run over, they would just try to push each other aside to be scratched. And because Dad made pets out of all of them, and his cows were good cows. Because that animal's only as good as you make it the master. So
So could you repeat that?
I say that an animal is only as good as its master.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
That's the way I see it. And my dad loved animals, and he was good to animals. And when he was a young man, I thought he was crying.
Yeah, I thought so too. They're playing. They're having fun.
Okay. My dad was a young man. He had an old mare. That was his pet. He used to ride it. And she had a little colt. And then she lay down and died. So my dad hand raised that colt. And they named him Shorty.
Mm-hmm.
He was a mean son of a gun. Mom had to grab my hand, so would have to ride out in the pasture on Shorty to bring the cows in, morning and night. So she
Okay,
didn't
that,
like.
that was your mom. Grandma Hanson's
Yeah.
out there riding,
Yeah.
and wrangling the cattle.
Yeah, yeah. And she'd have to go bring him in. She'd saddle up old Shorty, and Shorty was ornery. He had to watch him when he turned his head. If he stopped, turn his head towards you, watch out, he'd bite. He would bite, yeah. And it seemed like whenever.
Oh, I see that.
Baby with a
Okay, yeah, that's cool. They have an app on his phone that makes you look like a baby. I don't know if it'll turn your face to look like a
Oh,
baby.
isn't that cute? Yeah. And there was one up in the pasture, I think I told you guys, that big draw where you'd hunt.
Mm-hmm.
We always thought it was haunted. And Mom always thought it was too, even back when we were kids. But whenever she'd have to ride Shorty up there to bring the cows in for milking, Shorty didn't want to go up in there. He never would. He'd always hedge. One time I think he either threw Mom off. I'm sure he did, because he didn't want to go in there to get the cows. And Mom had to walk home and drive the cows by hand. But he would, and Shorty took off back for the corral. He didn't like going up in there. And the hair on my head always stands up when I go up in that area too. And Uncle John's same way.
Do we know anything about that area, what it was before these areas were settled?
Sure don't. The only thing I know, and I can't tell you exactly where at, Dad's dad, old Charlie Hans, said when he was a boy, or when Dad was a boy, Granddad couldn't have been great granddad, that there was a man, a cattle rustler, that was hanged or shot and buried up there somewhere in the hills. Don't know where. And I often wonder if it isn't his ghost running around, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, let's see. Back in the early years, Granddad raised really good crops out here. We used to have a lot of rain.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had bumper crops of alfalfa. And if he planted corn or feed, I remember one year, I think the feed was like 15 feet tall
Really?
in the fields. Oh, yes, down here. And then years later, he started irrigating. He bought a motor from a vehicle of some kind and built his own great big engine thing, you know, they could put around on wheels to move from place to place. And he bought irrigation equipment, and they started irrigating the fields. And from the creek, because Dad had a license back then to buy water from the government to be able to irrigate from the creek. So, but there used to be a lot of water in the creek, a lot of fish, and Granddad had an old fish trap. Somebody stole it out of the barn up there. It was in the haymow, and it disappeared. Big fish trap. When he was irrigating, he put that fish trap down there in the creek. It always had some good fish, but there was a lot of water back then. So, and that was probably, probably right after they built the dam, I think.
Do you think the dam building lowered your water?
No, actually, we had more water before the dam because of flooding and everything, you know. But that's why the dam was put there because the little town of Old Webster was sitting back down in there. Beautiful little town. And when they had floods, it always flooded.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, see, Atlanta and I finished the fourth grade in Old Webster before they got the dam built. And Grandpa and Grandma Hans both graduated from Webster. And I graduated from a new school of Webster. Had to build a new school because they tore the town out and the schoolhouse down and everything. And it was a beautiful little town. I sure hated that. I've always hated that dam because of it.
But you think you had more water before they built the dam?
We did, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Coming to, cause see now, the only time we get water down Lost Creek, and we live on the banks of Lost Creek because it meanders. The rains come from Palco. Because otherwise, from the dam, it goes right into Solomon River, just north of us.
Okay, so it kind of redirected.
Yes, we directed the water. But we still do have flooding if they have heavy rains in Palco and Zurich. And we have heavy rains here, we have flooding. So,
Have you ever seen it come up very far?
oh gosh, yes. I've seen it at the top of this bank out here. Oh, yes.
Yeah, a little bit. That'd be a little.
Oh, yes. In fact, on my phone somewhere is a picture of the last flood we had about 6 years ago. I was standing at the top of the hill by the barn, and I looked down. The water was almost halfway up the hill, run clear through. It's a lot of water. In fact, Aunt Desiree took a picture of mine and put it on her phone. That way she could show the water moving. Ask her about that sometime. She can
Aunt
probably
Des?
transfer it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, to your phone. So, yep, we had a lot of floods out here and a lot of, oh, there were good years and bad years, you know. In drought years, things are worse. So,
Can you tell me about your mom a little bit? Great grandma
Okay,
Hans? Or grandma Hans?
I'll finish telling about Dad.
Okay, I'll let you.
One of his horses, he had several horses that he tried to break, and nobody could break the damn things. He had to sell them. And the one horse he did get broke. One year he was crossing the creek on the ice, and the horse slid and fell on him, on his leg, you know, broke his ankle. He got over that. The next year, the horse slid again on the same creek and broke the other ankle.
He wanted it to match.
Yeah. So Granddad had broken ankles in 2 years. And that made it hard on Mom and Uncle Charles. Because Uncle Charles was the oldest, and Uncle John, they did the milking and stuff. But anyway, Grandma was born, she was a blue baby. A blue baby when she was born, yeah.
I mean, she came out blue, like she had enough oxygen.
Yeah, and the doctor that was to deliver her made my grandmother wait. He didn't want to come because he was at the fair. Yeah,
At the fair.
yeah, he was. That was August 29th. That's Grandma's birthday. And so when she was finally born, she was blue, and she always had health issues and mostly allergies. Get back down, up down, and so when she was, in order for my mom to go to school, because she was a sickly child, she had to live in Old Webster with my great-grandmother Waters, who lived there at the time. So, but other than that, she finally adjusted, I guess, and kind of got over some of her allergies, because she got married and then lived on the farm here, and they had crops and everything, you know. And so, she worked hard too, though, because she had to do all of our laundry by hand. And like I said, we didn't have water up here. The mom had to take, Dad built a little cart for Grandma to, she could sit the big old thing of cream can full of water on that cart. and she'd bring that up, and that was for our hand washing and baths and everything because they had a great big old stove in here. God, I would give an arm and a leg for that damn stove today.
They're worth money now. Those old
They
wood
dumped it
burning
over the
cook
freaking
stoves.
creek bank. Yeah, they hated it. It was a huge thing. I think it belonged to my great grandmother, but it had two big reservoirs, so one on each side, and on the top you had the big warmer. And she baked all of her bread and cakes and everything in that oven, and had 6 or 8 burners on top. That's a big stove. And so she did a lot of cooking and baking, and she did a lot of canning and stuff too back then because they didn't have freezers, no electricity. So she had to can everything, and it was done on the stove. And when they,
Hold on just a second. Hold.
Mom, you didn't see it. Mom, you didn't see it. You can't do that one. That says.
Let's just no music for right now. Just give me another 10 minutes and then we'll. Okay, what were we talking about?
so whenever they butcher, they would, she would render her own lard. She had a great big, huge, what do you call it? Your mom has one, but not that big, probably. This was an antique one. It was a big old, well, you had to seal it down to cook.
Like a pressure cooker.
Huh?
Pressure cooker, maybe?
Yeah, pressure cooker. And she used that to can. She would can corn. Granddad planted corn, and she'd can corn. That was so good, that canned corn. She'd can meat. And if they had potatoes, she would put potatoes in with them. And she rendered her lard in that great big cooker canner. And cooked a lot of meat. I remember a lot of soups and ham and beans, things like that she would make in that. On an old wood burning stove. Huge old wood burning stove. That was a beautiful thing. I just, oh God, I'd give my eye teeth to have it. They dumped it. They hated it. They had electricity, so she got an electric stove. But anyway, she worked hard. She taught me how to sew on an old treadle sewing machine when I was just a kid. I was intrigued with it, so she taught me how to sew early on. My sister hated sewing, but Mom taught me how to use that treadle sewing machine. I remember one time when she was trying to sew something in a hurry, and she had a needle break off in her finger.
Oh,
Right through her nail, went right through her nail. And she had to go and get that taken out at the doctor's office. And she worked, helped Dad. She worked side by side with my dad. They loading bales, hauling bales and unloading and stacking them. And that's in her later years, though. In the earlier years, she was busy with a big garden every year. I mean, a huge garden. And Granddad could plant the best watermelons, and he knew exactly when those melons were ripe. And he was right on the money every time. He'd come carrying up a huge, big old watermelon. And they had their big garden way down there, east of the house here. And because that's where they did irrigating out of the creek. And they had the garden there so they could keep it watered good. And so Grandma did a lot of canning. And then she canned up a lot of fruit before our trees were big enough to use. Granddad Hans and my Granddad Smith and Uncle Lee Hutchinson would take Uncle Lee's truck and go up to Nebraska, and they would buy bushel baskets of fruit, bring them back, and then Grandma would can them.
Oh, okay.
So,
What trees did y'all grow out there? What trees did you grow out in the orchard?
we had probably 4 or 5 different apple trees. We had winter pears and summer pears. We had apricot trees. We had probably, 3 different kinds of cherries, 4 different kinds of cherries. Because one was a pie cherry, Then we had the white cherries, the rainier cherries. We had that old tree. It didn't last all that long because it couldn't stand this climate, I guess. But oh, those are the best damn cherries. And we had the red bean cherries. That didn't last all that long either. Then we had some black, what they call black cherries. But there was tree after tree of all those, and I don't know how many peach trees. So we had cherry trees clear out back here, and out front out here, there were several cherry trees, and what else did they have? Trees, cherry, peach, apple, apricot, pear. There's all kinds. I mean, you can imagine a whole orchard loaded with them.
Look what I
That's a big area. So there was a lot of trees, probably 4 or 5 different kinds of apples. Because we had red delicious, we had yellow delicious, we had what they call a pie apple, we had like the Macintosh, the bunch of those oldies. But anyway, and so she'd do a lot of canning. As kids picked the fruit and she'd can it. You know, cherries, I hated picking cherries. The trees would be loaded with the biggest, beautiful cherries. But I hated picking cherries. But anyway, she was a marvelous housekeeper, a lot better than I am. And of course, the furniture always had these fancy doilies that had to be washed and starched and ironed, you know, back then. And every weekend, every Saturday, when she did laundry, before Lynn and I were allowed to use the old conventional washer. She used an old conventional washer. And after she got electricity, that is. But anyway, well, no, the first one was an engine-operated one. I'm not sure what kind of an engine that was. But it was our job to hang the laundry when we were old enough. And then to bring it in on Sundays, that's a damn fly.
Yeah, he landed on it.
Yeah. And on Sundays, we had to do the ironing. Because back then, we had to iron our brothers' jeans and their school shirts and our skirts and dresses. And so that's all we do all these Sundays. You know, Lynn and I getting all that ironing done. Because back then we weren't allowed to wear pants. I think I was senior in high school when they were allowed to wear just dress pants as girls, you know. Mm-hmm. We couldn't wear jeans or nothing like that.
What would happen if you wore pants? School wouldn't like it.
Just regular pants. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, we could wear regular pants as long as they were nice pants. Not blue jeans. We couldn't wear blue jeans. Oh, okay. But on a Saturday night, we'd wear our brothers' blue jeans to town, to the dance or to the theater or something. Yeah, when Grandma'd take us in to watch movies and stuff at the theater. That was before we got TV. I think I was a sophomore in high school probably by the time we finally got TV. Granddad bought a TV. So our first TV, black and white. So well, we were in heaven, you know. But yeah, my grandma cooked and baked. She cooked every day. She was cooking and baking every day. Took a lot to keep up with 5 of us kids, but we also wound up with my cousin Paula. When Paula's parents divorced, Paula came to live with us while Aunt Delma worked.
I was just communicating with my wife. I didn't.
Okay, well, I was gonna say if you want me to hurry, I'll try to hurry here.
You're good.
Trying to think here. And my Uncle Norman, my mom's youngest brother. See, Mom was one of 5 kids. Grandma Hans was one of 5 girls, and then they had 2 boys. But grandmother lost her first set of boys, which was twin boys. She lost them when she was 5 months old.
And you're a twin, so twins
Yes.
and twins. And,
And Granddad, old Charlie Hance, had twin brothers.
really? Twins on both sides?
Yes, twins on both sides. And then a cousin out in California, cousin of my mom's, her daughter had twin girls. So, and they were identical.
Oh, God.
So,
Because you and your sister, you're fraternal.
yes.
Right.
But my sister had Heather, my cousin Heather, my niece Heather. She's a twin. But her twin died just shortly before the girls were born. And so, Lillian said that Heather's twin was a lot bigger baby than Heather. And they were twin girls. So, Heather survived, but the twin didn't. And she died before, a couple of weeks, I think, before or something. Not long before she went into labor, you know. So Lynn lost twins. Dina, my daughter Dina, she lost a set of twin boys at 5 months. Did you know that?
I didn't.
No. She lost twin boys. And but anyway, like I said, Mom was one of 5 girls. And then there were 2 boys, Uncle Benny and Uncle Norman. Uncle Norman was the same age as my oldest brother. So, and he was here every day almost with us kids. Yeah, we always played together. Then we had my cousin Paula when she came to live with us. So,
Can you tell me anything? Do you have any happy memories about your brother Charles?
oh gosh, yes.
Like, what was he like? I just want to know.
He was
And this is your older or younger brother?
oldest brother.
Oldest brother.
Yeah, he was 2 years older than Lynn and
His
I.
name was Charles.
Franklin. Charles Franklin Hance.
Okay.
My granddad Smith was Benjamin Franklin Smith, and Charlie Hance was Charles Lewis Hance. So Mom combined Charles and Franklin together, and that was his name. And he was a quiet person too. He loved to hunt, and he liked cars, and he liked horses and stuff, you know. And so he was a hard little worker too. He was in the Navy for 4 years. Okay, he was studying to be, what was it? Uncle Everett was a machinist, studying machinist. And, because Uncle Everett was a machinist too, Dad's brother, in the Navy. So, but yeah, he was a quiet person, and oh gosh, every week we wrote to each other. You know, after your grandpa and I were married, we moved up to, can't remember the name of the town, it's up there by the Oklahoma border. We lived there for a while, and so I had to keep changing cause we moved around because of the oil field. And so I had to keep changing my address. And Charles had a hard time keeping his letters up, you know, trying to keep up with me with our moving. But we wrote each other all the time when he was in the Navy. So I'd give him the news from back home, and he'd tell me what he was doing out there. So I saw somebody walking out there. Now, see, I can see certain things.
I noticed you can see flies too, pretty
Yeah.
well.
A lot of times I have to rely on my peripheral vision. But anyway, I probably should cover that cake to get that fly off
I'll
of it.
cover it here in a second.
Um,
Eric was saying, I don't know if it's true or not. He was saying, did we have a relative or something that was on the Trail of Tears?
we had ancestors on the Trail of Tears.
Okay.
Mom's ancestors, I don't know which ones, were on the Trail of Tears. I heard her talk about that a lot of times, or just mention it, you know what I'm saying?
That was a hard time.
Yes, it was. That was a terrible time. Terrible time. Too many people died from it. They starved to death or dropped dead from having to, on that march. They made them march from, God, clear to Oklahoma, wasn't it?
In the middle of winter, I think.
Yeah. And you know what else they did? They made, the reason they called it the Trail of Tears, it wasn't the Indians crying, it was the white people. Because they were horrified at what the army, our own army,
I didn't know that.
Yes. Yes. Because if a man's wife died on that march, the army or the whatever those guys were, those bastards, I have no use for the service, I'm sorry. What they would do is make them carry that body. They wouldn't let them stop and bury it. They had to carry that body until they got to Oklahoma.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And that's why they called it the Trail of Tears. It was the white people that named it the Trail of Tears. It wasn't the Indians. They didn't see the Indians crying. The Indians were too proud. They weren't going to cry. I'm sure they were hurting inside, losing their babies, their children, their loved ones, on that Trail of Tears. Yes, Mom had ancestors. She never ever really talked about what was going on, but I know enough from things I've read about the Trail of Tears.
Did she have any happy memories of her ancestors or stuff like that?
I'm sure she did. She said great-grandmother Smith. And I told you, there's a picture of her in there when she was young and older.
Okay, yeah.
She was, I'm trying to think here. Mom said that she raised chickens. And of course she raised vegetables. But she ran around barefoot all year round. In all seasons. Never wore
Didn't
shoes.
get cold?
Never wore shoes.
Oh, okay, I've
Yeah.
heard of that.
Yeah. And Mom said that...
And that was your mother's mom or grandmother?
That was your mother and my mom's grandmother.
Okay.
My great-grandmother. Your great-great-great-grandmother.
Okay.
She was full-blooded Indian.
And she was, do you know, was she a certain tribe?
I know she was, but we don't know which.
Oh, okay.
Because...
I've heard from Mama Bev that Osage or something like that. I've also heard
it's either Nez Perce or it's Osage.
because I've heard both Nez Perce and Osage.
Oh, we don't know for sure.
She was adopted.
Yeah. But she was adopted, and the funny thing is, see, that story kind of gets me too, because my granddad Smith and Uncle Benny and I were talking about this one time, that Granddad said we were Nez Perce, and Uncle Benny says, no, we're Osage. He said Dad didn't want his family going back to the cotton fields to pick cotton. So he was always singing this song. Way down yonder in the Indian Nation, I rode my pony on the reservation in the Oklahoma hills where I was born. So Uncle Benny thinks that we were actually Nez Perce. And the Nez Perce are shorter people. They're not the real tall ones. Now you take the Osage, they're taller, bigger people.
Okay.
Okay, so anyway, as the story went, my great-grandmother Smith there, Dora Ellen Allen Smith, the story goes, and this has happened in New York, an Indian, her mother placed a little Indian baby in one of my long ago ancestors' arms and walked away. And he didn't know what to do with the little baby. He'd just come over from, let's see, where was he from? Oh gosh, what country was it? And here she placed this little baby in her arms. And he had to find someone to take care of the baby. So he let some of his relatives, I think his last name was, might have been Allen. And what was the people that adopted her? Okay, I know you've heard about the, what's those two groups of Hatfields and the McCoys?
Mm-hmm.
See, we're related to the Hatfields.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. We're part of a famous blood feud?
Yeah. And Dora Ellen Allen, she was given the name Allen, but she was She was adopted by the Allens, but raised by the McCoys. No, the Hatfields. I think it was the Hatfield family that raised her.
Really?
And then she married my great granddad. Allen. I'm trying to think where the Allen comes in from because I remember Mom's telling me one time that some of the Allens, I think it was Allens, helped keep these people in Nicodemus alive back then
Really?
because they would have starved to death and died and froze to death that bad winter. And he and some other people hunted food for them, helped them get lodging. Yeah, so, but anyway. There's just so many stories. I'm not sure what I believe and what I don't believe. And I'm saying because we'll never know what the truth is. Never know. We don't know if we're Nez Perce or if we're Osage. Hell, we could be Apache for all I know. I don't know. But I still think we came from Oklahoma.
Okay, because the song.
Yeah, because of a song. Because Uncle Benny was telling me that. And Mom kept saying that we were Nez Perce. She thought we were Nez Perce. So I don't know. But she didn't know for sure either. So.
Well, cool. We're about to wrap this up. Is there anything else you want to say for the camera? Anything else you remember?
Gosh, I just miss my parents. Just like you miss your dad, you know? So,
Any memories stand out about your parents?
memories of them, oh yeah. I see them every day in here. I see Mom cooking bread.
Her bread. Can you tell us just quickly the story about her bread? It was an amazing sweet bread, homemade
It
white
was.
street bread. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, she changed the recipe.
Uh-huh.
It was a recipe of bread that she liked, but she said it wasn't sweet enough. She
Okay.
didn't like her bread not sweet, so she started adding sugar to it. Then she started making her own bread out of. She didn't measure anything. She used her hand for flour, or a pinch of salt, pinch of this or a dash of that, you know. And she used the old turkey red wheat.
Uh-huh.
It's good wheat. And can't even find it anymore. I don't know if I could ever find a place online to order it. I'd love to. Even if I had to grind
I
it.
believe I can. I was I
know?
did some work at the King Arthur flour mill here in Kansas, and they have a blend that has the Russian cookies.
They do.
Yes, they do, and they grind it up near Salina.
Now the King Arthur, where does that come from?
That comes from King Arthur, is an old brand from I think the late 1800s or early 1900s, and they've been having mills grind for them, and one of the mills is in Salina.
Oh gosh.
But I think that's from East Coast. But yeah, it's been around for
yeah.
100+ years.
Oh yeah, because that's all Grandma ever used. You know, back then you could buy it. And now my cousin Evan, my nephew Evan. I keep calling him my cousin. He's my nephew. He was telling me he's got Grandma's recipe. If you want Grandma's recipe, I can give it to you. Because I watched Mom. I did like Desiree did.
Because yeah, Aunt Des has it as well, I believe.
Yes. Aunt Des came out. She spent several days watching Mom make her bread and doing it herself. So Mom let her do it one day and filling her hands with flour because she used a handful of this, pinch of that, dash of that, you know. And so I started writing it down kind of like that. But Evan came out too and spent time to learn to make her bread. So Evan knows how to make Grandma's bread. He said he's still working at perfecting it, but he said Grandma's all in the flour, and I said that's what Grandma Hans said. It's all in the flour.
Now the story I had also heard is something about did she ever add too much on accident and then Grandpa Hans liked it better, or was there any truth to that?
Well, I don't know. He could have, but he liked it better with the sugar in it.
Oh, it was amazing.
And the sugar, she said, made all the difference. So after that, she started making her cinnamon rolls, her donuts, and whatnot off of that recipe too.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, I bet that'd transfer well over.
Gosh, that was good.
It was.
She made the
warmed
best.
it. I'd always remember coming out here, eating that bread warmed up in the microwave with butter on it, and then she'd buy the big half moon things of Colby cheddar,
Yes.
and I'd eat a big stick of cheese.
Gosh. Yeah.
And Tang, me and Eric would talk about. We come out here, and the water has a profound taste out here. So you'd have it with Tang, and we put so much Tang in there you couldn't even.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even mix. And then at the bottom we eat the Tang out of the bottom.
And then she used to drink the Postum. And Postum, I didn't know until Desiree said, Mom, you can still buy Postum.
Postum, what's Postum?
Yes, it was a drink. It wasn't coffee, but it had a really good taste.
Oh, okay.
It tasted similar to coffee, but it was sweeter.
Postum.
It's called Postum. And Desiree said, Mom, you can still buy that today. I don't know where she gets it at. And I think it was one of the stores in Hayes. But that was really good because every time Grandma mixed some up to drink, I'd sneak up behind her while she was reading, and I'd drink out of her cup. And I really liked that Postum.
Okay, I'm gonna look that up.
I thought
Postum.
someday I'm going to find me some, yeah. But anyway, the old turkey red wheat, and Evan said too, that's a trick. It's a trick to good bread. The wheat,
Turkey
all in
red
the
wheat.
wheat.
Now, do you remember? I was choking. Do you remember coming out after Dad would have his heart attack? Like Dad had 1 or 2 heart attacks. You'd come out and take care of us, so Mom went to be with Dad. My dad,
Okay,
Chuck.
yes.
Do you remember I choked on a peanut butter sandwich? It was the scariest I've ever been in my life, and you gave me the Heimlich.
I did?
Yeah, you saved my life as a kid. I was so scared because I was choking. I couldn't talk or anything.
You
I was just
can't
like,
breathe, you
and you're
can't
like,
talk.
Jamie, what are you choking? You came up behind me, gave me the Heimlich real quick, flung me around like a rag doll,
my.
pop right out. I inhaled a piece of peanut butter and bread about that big. So you saved my life, Grandma. So thank you. I'm here today because of you. If I'd been by myself, I'd been dead.
Uncle Grin saved my life too once.
Really?
Eating cheese pizza
Okay.
in a restaurant in Hayes. Your grandpa, Newell, and I, and I think the girls were all with us. I'm not sure. And Uncle Grin was with us. And I was eating, must have taken too big a bite of the pizza. And I couldn't swallow it. And I tried to cough it back up, and I couldn't get it back up. I was standing there clutching my throat and trying to gag and trying to swallow and trying to cough and everything else, and I couldn't. And Glenn realized I was having a problem. He got behind me and gave me the Heimlich, and it spewed out, and there were people in there eating.
But so you paid it forward. It done to you, it done to
I
me.
felt so bad because there were people eating, and they just got up and left because I had to get it out,
Yeah.
It
To
came
this day,
out.
I'm still scared. Like Donovan, if he's eating, I always come in and check on him because, like, if you choke, man, you're really.
Yeah.
Now, my grandma Beb, at one point, she choked when she was by herself. She gave her the Heimlich on a chair.
Oh, yeah.
Dropped herself on.
Yeah. Dina's had to give herself Heimlichs like that.
It worked.
But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I
when
was
she
so
gets-
super scared.
Yeah.
It was like an end of my life thing. I started thinking about like childhood. I think I was probably a preteen, but I started thinking about early childhood memories of stuff as I choked.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
gave me the Heimlich.
Yeah, I think about that too, because I wasn't all that old either. My kids are all pretty young, and I choked on cheese pizza. So it was a long time after that before I ever ate pizza again.
It cured you.
I'm serious, yeah. And that was little tiny bites.
Was there anything else? I plan on asking Uncle John about the music.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and ask him about the musical instruments. But I can't remember if the man's name was Horn. His last name was Horn. Ask him about Granddad's cousin that made musical instruments down around Hanston,
Granddad's
Kansas.
cousin that made musical
Yeah.
instruments. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, can I have a hug? Thank you so much for giving me this history. Like,
Oh, that's
like
okay, honey. I wish I could.
my kids. We've been talking for an hour. My kids are gonna get to see this, and their kids.
my
So
gosh.
I wanted to preserve this. So I'm so glad we got to come out and see you,
Oh,
Grandma.
yes, honey, I am too. I'm glad you
Love
guys
you. The
could
cooking was wonderful. Thank you for the rocks. I love you.
come. I love you too.
Oh, this is so special.
Yes. Okay. You guys want to come back? I love you. Love you too, honey. Come back.
I will.
Come back and spend